Playing The Last of Us Part 2 while being quarantined was one of the most depressing and stressful experiences that I've ever had with a game. CrossCode is perhaps the exact opposite. This is a bright, colorful, joyful game that just makes me smile when I play it. The cute characters, the smart dialogues, and the never-ending, well-written humor, which seems to be so sorely missing these days, provide an extremely refreshing and uplifting experience. There's something here for everyone, and that's why if you're the type of person that's into a variety of different games, you should definitely pick this up. So, what is CrossCode? Well, it's a 2D platforming RPG with 16-bit style graphics that plays like a character action game mixed with a twin-stick shooter and focuses on special moves, elemental attacks, and combos. There's also a variety of different Zelda-like dungeons with a ton of puzzles that will have you moving blocks, bouncing your shots off walls, and using different elemental attacks to solve them. Imagine every single game you've ever played, with the exception maybe of racing games, and chances are CrossCode features some of those mechanics in somewhere. With so many ingredients thrown in, you might think that quality takes a hit. Well, it doesn't. The story is awesome, the graphics are extremely detailed, the combat system is deep and satisfying, and the puzzles are challenging but not to the point of frustration. Everything is absolutely top-notch, and the result is one of the best and most entertaining games that I've ever played. I've already covered this game in an extensive review more than a year ago, so I will be linking to that and just covering the basics here. I've played this on the PS4, which seems to run just fine. I know there are some issues with the Switch version, especially around towns, seemingly not anywhere else, and as far as I know, that will get patched. In CrossCode, you're essentially playing a game within a game, since the main character is stuck inside this real-life MMO where characters and enemies are rendered using something called instant matter. So it's a real-life world with holographic characters and enemies. The story is composed by several different layers. First, there's what's going on in the actual world and the characters you meet. Then, there's the story inside the MMO that you're playing, and there's a third branch that I won't spoil. It's a really interesting take that provides you with several different plots to get invested in. Gameplay can be divided into three main sections: combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. But maybe one of the coolest things that CrossCode has to offer is how these three start to blend in really interesting ways. Puzzles become part of the combat and exploration in a nearly seamless transition that reminds me a lot of the Portal games. Portal 1 and 2 were incredibly good at teaching and introducing new concepts through exploration and gameplay, and CrossCode is very much like that. Each dungeon teaches you new interactions and rules that you then use to explore and defeat enemies in combat. It is incredibly rewarding, and it provides an organic growth to the challenges that you face. Everything gets slowly more complex and more nuanced, and you're soon used to switching between elemental attacks, bouncing your shots off walls, and exploiting your enemies' weaknesses. Combat is really one of the best parts of CrossCode, and just like everything else in the game, it is crammed with features and content. There are 4 elements that you can use to power your attacks, as well as a neutral, non-elemental stance. Each of these in turn has a multitude of special ranged, guard, dodge, and melee attacks. If you guard at the right time, your guard turns into a parry, and if you charge your shots, they bounce off walls. By the time you have a couple of elements going, you start to feel a bit like Avatar. You're mixing your standard combo with special attacks as finishers, switching your elements on the fly, setting stuff on fire, creating ice shards along the way, and all sorts of cool stuff. It looks incredible, and half of that is probably just because of the way that the camera shakes and zooms in on the action automatically, that really just punctuates every hit. The sound design, the feedback each time you break or parry an enemy, the weight behind each attack, it is all incredible. It's not all great though. There are some parts of the game that I'm not super fond of. Some of the quests aren't very interesting, and the crafting/buying system is overly complicated, I think. At best, it provides an incentive to explore, But at worst, it can punish you real hard for buying the wrong equipment. Basically, the way it works is you get drops from enemies and from plants in the environment, and you use them to buy items and equipment. The problem is some drops are really hard to get, and if you don't know what you're doing, you might use some rare material to buy a weapon or armor that might not be really useful. That's really the only problem that I have with this game. I really enjoy the music, but I like the sound effects even more. The art style completely wins me over, with the character portraits during dialogues being the highlight for me. They convey the emotions extremely well and really go a long way towards making you like and care for each of the characters. The story is also up there as one of the most interesting parts of the game, and it kept me wanting to find more about each of the different plot lines. Oh, and did I mention that this game is 20 bucks? That price is just insane to me. With games like Link's Awakening costing $60, this to me is a complete no-brainer. If you have a Switch, you should be picking this up right now. I really believe the Switch is perfect for this type of game. It is truly one of the best RPGs that I've ever played, and it deserves a much wider audience. Call it whatever you want, underappreciated, hidden gem, underrated, whatever. This is a nearly perfect game that will take you around 50 hours to complete, and every hour is crammed with really polished gameplay, challenging puzzles, and dialogue that will have you smiling and laughing out loud. Do not pass this up. Okay guys, that will be all for now. I've done a beginner's guide for this game, so definitely check it out if you're picking this up. I will include the link below in the video description, or you can just wait for a couple of seconds and a link will pop up. If you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.